Hey, good morning. Mitch Dunford with the National Alliance. We're here at RIMS in Philadelphia, broadcasting live, and I have a really special guest this morning, Dr. John Bratton, one of our original CICs. He's a professor at the Center for Insurance Studies at the University of Central Arkansas. And you have a really interesting story. I mean, you're like one of the original technology agents in the country. So why don't we back up for a second and tell us how you got your start in the insurance industry? You kind of fell into it through technology.
I was a computer programmer with the federal government. And my wife took a job, part-time job, typing insurance policies for a little small insurance agency in Georgetown, Kentucky. And she was doing the typing at home, and I would look over her shoulder and see what she was doing. And half the typing she was doing was something called a change endorsement.
What year was this?
This would have been in 1973 or 74.
Okay.
And this was back in the day when the insurance deck pages went to the rating bureau to check that the rates were correct before they even went to the insurance company. And so she was typing change endorsements for a $1 or $2 premium difference because of the mistakes they made rounding numbers and calculating rates. So I wrote a computer program. It was just a printout. Nobody had computers back in those days except the government. And so it was just a printout. And so you'd figure out the rate classification, turn to the appropriate page in that printout, and add the numbers up and total it. And there we had the premium and so forth. And so the office manager was one of my high school classmates, and we were friends. I actually had a houseboat, and they'd go with the lake with us on weekends and so forth. And she taught me how to rate auto insurance, and so I did this. And it went along real smooth for a while. And then one day the major insurance company that they wrote auto insurance, their rates changed. And so the office manager went to the agency owner and says, "You need to go talk to Shirley's husband and get our rates changed." Well, he knew me. And he says, "What the heck does he have to do with our rates? He doesn't work in the insurance business." And she showed him what I did. And he came to my home that night and sold me a 25% interest in his insurance agency.
And that's how you got in the insurance business?
That's how I got into the insurance business.
And you were a programmer at the time?
I was a computer programmer with the U.S. Army Strategic Communications Command.
Had any college education?
I had no I had taken some college courses, but I was not pursuing a college education.
Interesting.
I took computer programming classes in night school at the University of Kentucky.
And now you find yourself owning 25% of an agency.
Now, I'd been working for the government for several years. I got 26 days a year paid vacation. I didn't have any money to go on a vacation, so I spent my 26 days a year going to insurance classes. The Independent Insurance Agents of Kentucky taught all sorts of coverage classes and so forth. And
when did you start with CIC?
I started in the first class with CIC in 1977 and actually earned the designation in 78.
Wow.
And
you remember who some of the instructors were?
Yeah. One of our early instructors was Jerry Milton, Hayes Tucker. I think Jim Harrison taught some of our classes. Oh golly, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it has. What did it do for you? I mean, you come into this entirely new industry.
Listen, I'm sitting in the classroom and I'm taking notes with both hands. With one hand, I'm taking notes to hopefully pass the exam on Saturday morning. With the other hand, I'm writing down the names of all these customers. As soon as I get back to the office, I got to pull their file because I've done something wrong here. And so, I mean, it was a tremendous learning experience for me. And my wife worked in the agency. We had a couple other ladies in the agency at the time when we were real small. And they hated to see me go to CIC Institute because they knew when I got back there was things that were going to change. But
So you eventually bought the entire agency, and is that when you implemented your first agency management system?
I actually acquired full ownership of the agency in March of 1975, and it was 1978 when we put in an agency automation system. I mean, I hadn't even heard of agency automation till I went to some sort of a seminar or a convention, and there was a young guy named Rob Thompson that presented a topic on agency automation systems, and he had written an agency automation system and implemented it in his parents' insurance agency in Pittsburgh. And I went to their office in Pittsburgh and saw what they'd done. And having 10 years experience in automation and so forth, it was just going through my mind all the neat things that we could do if we had a
computer
automation system.
Do you remember what it was called?
Redshaw. It was the Redshaw system. It was Rob eventually sold that to Hartford Insurance Company. Hartford never did much with it. They merged it with something else, and eventually it went away.
What did it run on?
It ran on a Wang 2200 mini computer. By the way, I've still got that mini computer. It's in the third story of an office building in Georgetown, Kentucky.
That's probably worth it's a relic.
It would be.
Would you remember what it cost?
I know that the whole system cost about $48,000. The hardware and the software was about $48,000.
In what year?
1978.
How many desktop computers was that?
That was 2 workstations and a 5K hard drive. I started out with a 1 workstation and an 8-inch floppy drive.
So how would you use that to manage your agency? There's just so little memory.
That computer had 8K of memory, but the program that ran it was huge, but it ran 8K at a time. It had function keys across stuff. If you wanted to create a new document, you'd push a function key to create, and it'd pop up and you'd fill in the information and so forth. If you wanted to save it, after you create it, if you wanted to save it to the hard disk, you'd push another function key. That'd pull up another 8K of memory and it would save it and so forth.
So 8K at a time?
Yeah, 8K at a time. And it had 14 function keys and so forth. Every one of them did something.
Is that the system that you use to run a report to start introducing cross-selling into your agency?
Sure. I mean, that was the reason I bought it. We had 13 or 14 file cabinets full of insurance policies, and most of them were like auto policies. The only policy we had for an account would be their personal auto insurance.
Sure.
And so we put all that information. It took us almost a year, 9 or 10 months anyway, to get all the information on the computer. And then I immediately started running reports. And I figure out for instance, who we just had auto insurance with. I subscribed to the George Nordhaus did a newsletter, a quarterly newsletter, and I subscribed to that newsletter, and we'd send that. I'd write a letter about some topic that was mentioned in that newsletter and send it to the clients. I started out sending it to our best clients, the ones we wrote the most premium for, and so forth, and then started working for that. But it was constantly using it for marketing. We would, like I said, we started representing a company selling auto insurance the agency started in 1929. And it was the first agency in town that sold car insurance. And so we had lots of
just single auto policies.
Single auto policies. And lots of times, it was third generations of the family been insured with. And so I started sending them letters and telling them, we do other things. We write homeowners insurance, we write business insurance, we write life and health insurance, and so forth. And after I put that automation system in, we grew 35% a year for 11, at least 35% a year, 11 straight years.
That's amazing. Then you ended up selling the agency, right?
Toyota built the first North American Camry plant in Georgetown, Kentucky. And folks called and invited me to go to lunch with them one day. And they were interested in buying my insurance agency. And we...
Toyota?
No, the competitor.
The competitor. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
They just saw the handwriting on the wall that this was going to be a big deal. Now there's more people that work at Toyota than there were residents of Georgetown, Kentucky at that time. But they just made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and so I sold the agency. I had plans at the time to. I had a lot of family that had moved to Ocala, Florida area. My wife and I talked about it. If we ever moved, we wanted to move to Ocala. And I had talked to some folks about the possibility of buying an insurance agency down there, but after I got down there and did some investigation and so forth, it just didn't work out. By the way, I didn't have a college education. And I bought a home in a subdivision next to Central Florida Community College. And I walked down there one day just to inquire about taking a public speaking course. After this video, you'll probably discover I should have taken that class. But I wound up signing up to be a full-time student. And
what year was that?
That would have been in August 1987.
Okay, so you're how old?
I'll be 72 in May.
And how old were you when you signed up to start college?
I was 42.
And you had a son that was already in college?
My son was a senior at the University of Kentucky. He had zero interest in work. He'd work for me some in the summers. He had zero interest in being in the insurance business. My brother was commissioner of the Kentucky Department of Revenue. And my son was going to go to work for Uncle Calvert. That lasted 8 months. He took a claims adjusting job with the Kentucky Farm Bureau. Today, he's a state claims manager with Progressive Insurance Company over Kentucky, Tennessee, and Arkansas.
So much for staying out of insurance, right? Once you're in, you can't get out. That's funny.
My granddaughter studied fashion merchandising. She works for Kentucky Employers Mutual Insurance.
There you go. So you start in with your undergraduate work in what area? What did you major in?
Well, at the community college, my major was business administration.
Okay.
And after I completed the community college in 3 semesters, went to the University of Florida. Now, they had an insurance and risk management degree listed in the undergraduate catalog, but the insurance faculty had retired, and they didn't teach insurance classes anymore. So I went to 2 semesters, and then I transferred to Florida State. So because I wanted to get an undergraduate degree in insurance and risk management.
And you did?
I did. I went to Florida State. I started in the fall, and toward the end of the semester, over a 3-day period of time, 2 different professors asked me if I'd ever thought about going to graduate school. And I wound up enrolling in their PhD program.
So skip the master's degree, went straight to
they didn't. At that time, they didn't have a master's in insurance, and so they didn't require a master's degree. I had to take at least a semester's work, maybe a few hours more than 1 semester of courses, master's level courses that were prerequisites for doctoral level courses. But I did not earn a master's degree.
So you graduate with your PhD. You're how old?
I was 49.
That's remarkable.
I turned 49 in May, and I graduated in December of '94.
And went to work for
But
who?
I had already gone to work at Old Dominion. I went to work that August at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia.
You are an individual who's not afraid to change course in life, are you?
I've been at the University of Central Arkansas for 17 years. That's the longest I ever stuck with anything.
They should be getting worried. What's next?
Well, starting in the fall, I'm going to be teaching all online courses. We're putting our entire insurance major online on UCA Online. And I've been teaching online courses in Central Arkansas. Well, actually, first time I taught an online class was in 2000 when I left Old Dominion and went to University of Louisiana Monroe. But the department chair forgot to schedule an instructor to teach one of our insurance classes. And so the dean called and asked me if I would consider teaching a corporate risk management class using distance learning. At that time, Old Dominion University was a premier distance learning university in Virginia. And I had taught some online classes there. And so from the University of Louisiana Monroe, I taught a class at Old Dominion.
You're not afraid of technology, are you?
I'm not afraid of it. It can't bite me. No, I'm not afraid of it.
Show the audience your watch. An iPhone watch or whatever, an Apple watch. And an
I'm
iPhone.
not afraid of technology.
So you're going to be moving all of your course content on an online.
Well, all my course content's already online because I lecture in the classroom, but all of my assignments have been online for years. In fact, starting from 2004 through 2011, my colleague and I taught a graduate course in insurance for high school teachers. It was grant funded by the Insurance Education Foundation. The idea was to teach insurance to high school teachers, to try to get those high school teachers to incorporate topics on insurance in the classroom. And so we did that. We for 8 years we did this in Arkansas. First couple of years we brought these teachers to campus for 2 full weeks in the summer, but that didn't work out real good. The teachers just didn't want to be away from home for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we put the course content online, and so they would study the course content out of a textbook online and then come to campus for like 3 days where we would have a series of meetings, bring in guest speakers and so forth. And that worked real well. And then we started getting invited. I mean, we did a program once in Texas just for Texas family and consumer science teachers. And then we did a program in Nebraska for the Nebraska Department of Education. We did a program in Iowa for the Iowa Department of Education. We did a program once in Wisconsin. We actually did it in the Insurance Center at the University of Wisconsin-Madison for the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions. And all of those teachers that attended got 3 hours of graduate credit from the University of Central Arkansas. So we did this in several states. I mean, and so we had, and the teachers, I mean, I knew I was onto something because the teachers were making comments and like, this is the first time I've ever taken an online course and felt like I really learned something.
There you go.
And so, and school, they're not a bit reluctant to give you constructive criticism and so forth.
Sure.
And we were just overwhelmed with the positive comments that we got.
So just talking to you today, your life has really been a series of, interest, educating yourself, trying new things, learning new things, never stopping this journey of investigation and learning. It's fascinating. If you were to give the insurance industry or young people entering the industry a piece of advice, what would it be?
Never stop learning. Never stop learning. At our university was the first university in the nation to actually confer the University Associate Certified Insurance Counselor designation, the UACIC designation. That was in 2011. We had over 200 people come to a conferment ceremony for 7 students.
That's really cool.
And now, and of course, we still participate in the UACIC program. We give our students a lot of opportunities and so forth to be successful. And the really neat thing about the whole thing is, I get phone calls all the time. Do all of those new UACICs have jobs?
So they're hunting them down.
Yeah.
That's understandable.
Yeah. And it's not now. It's not unusual to have 6, 7, 8 graduates of our insurance program at a CIC institute in Little Rock.
Sure.
In fact, I just had an institute last week, and we had 3 of our alumni. 2 of them had earned the UACIC and gotten letters from the National Alliance, hey, your 5 years is about to expire. You better get, and so they were there.
Getting after it
and so forth.
Well, John, it's really been a pleasure getting to know you. You're a very interesting man and a tribute to the CIC and the insurance industry. Thank you for taking some time with us.
Hey, I sure appreciate it.